Stop trying to be authentic if you actually want to be successful. Now, I know that sounds harsh because for the last 10 years, the internet has been preaching one message like it's gospel. Just be yourself. But let me ask you a question. If being yourself was the key, why are so many talented, smart, hardworking people struggling to get respect, still struggling to close, still struggling to lead, still struggling to be taken seriously? Here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. You don't talk to a CEO the same way you talk to your buddy from college. And if you do, you're not being authentic. You are just being socially unaware. You are being lazy, and you are paying the price for it because the world doesn't reward authenticity. The world rewards adaptability. Now, let me open an idea for you. If you've ever walked out of a conversation thinking, I said everything right, why didn't it land? I'm going to show you why. And it's not because you're not confident. It's not because you're not smart. It's because you're using the wrong operating system. See, authenticity is about what you want to express. Adaptability is about what they need to hear. So in order to feel safe, in order to trust you, in order to follow you, in order to buy, what is it that they actually need to hear? And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly why just be yourself is a trap and what it's costing you in sales, leadership, and influence, and how to replace it with a simple, repeatable way to communicate that makes you powerful in any room, whether you're in sales or whether you're building a business or you're leading people. This will shortcut years of frustration. So let's get into it. If you don't know me, hi, my name's Christian Jack. I closed over $100 million in deals in my first 4 years in business. And I realized everybody had to ask backwards. Everybody says that everything is sales and marketing, but realistically, it's influence. The most powerful, the most influential icons throughout human history, the ones who actually built empires or toppled them, didn't try to market anything or sell anything. They influenced the market. They changed public perception to match whatever it is that they needed to happen. And when you go back and you study all of that stuff, whether it be ancient history that's lasted the test of time or modern science that's come out, either it's too philosophical in order to really apply, or it's too clinical that you want to claw your fucking eyes out because it's so annoying to read and impossible to apply into modern business. So I've made it my mission to demystify and simplify what the most influential icons throughout human history have actually used in order to build empires and how to apply it into business for the modern age. So if that interests you, then let's get into it. Let me say something that's going to irritate you, and you may even feel a little tension when I say it. That's good, because that tension means that you're actually thinking for yourself for once. Here it is. Just be yourself is terrible advice if you want to win. Now, before you react, before you label it toxic, before you call it manipulative, before you decide I'm saying something I'm not, stay with me. Because by the end of this, you're either going to double down on comfort or you're going to see something that you will never be able to unsee. Think about this. How many times have you told yourself, I'm just being authentic. I'm just speaking my truth. This is just who I am. And how many times did that actually get you the outcome that you wanted? Be honest. Because deep down, you already know the answer. You can feel it. You've had moments where you walked away from a conversation thinking, I should have handled that differently. That wasn't authenticity. That was a lack of calibration. And once you see the difference, you'll start to notice it everywhere. Now let's get precise. I am not saying to be fake or be dishonest. I'm not telling you to pretend to be somebody else. What I'm saying is this: if you believe authenticity means you get to communicate however you feel like communicating, then you are choosing comfort over results. The world rewards outcomes, not feelings. And so the real problem with authenticity is really this kind of uncomfortable truth that people usually avoid. Authenticity is just a disguise for emotional comfort. Just be yourself sounds noble, but in practice, it typically means I don't want to adapt. I don't want to stretch. I don't want to feel awkward. And if you really sit with that, you will realize something. Comfort is expensive. Comfort costs you influence. Comfort costs you opportunity. Comfort costs you leverage. Comfort costs you money, because influence isn't about expression. It's simply about impact. And impact requires something that I call range. Now, we'll get into range in a moment, but for now, I need you to write this down. Authenticity is self-expression. Adaptability is leadership. And then read it again out loud to yourself. Authenticity is self-expression. Adaptability is leadership. See, self-expression asks, what do I want to say? How do I want to say it? What words feel completely comfortable to me? Leadership asks, what does this person require? What does this person need? What will help this person decide to move forward? Just that small tweak alone changes everything. But here's the part that might sting just a little bit. Authenticity, when misused, is selfish because it centers you. But adaptability centers the other person. You can be real and still be ineffective. You can be authentic and still be broke. You can be authentic and be ignored. And you may have experienced that. You may have thought, I know I'm capable. I know I'm intelligent. I know I have value, but people just aren't responding the way I would expect. If you've ever thought that, that's not a confidence problem, as much as you may think it is. That's a calibration problem. And calibration is just a skill, which means that it's learnable. Let that completely sink in for just a minute. When you're thinking about, you already adapt more than you may admit. You don't talk to a CEO the way that you talk to your college buddy. You don't walk into a boardroom like, yo, bro, what's good? Or at least with somebody that you don't know, you probably shouldn't. I do with people that I know, but not with a brand new prospect. See, but people do the professional version of that every day, right? They show up uncalibrated, unaware, emotionally casual in high stakes environments. And then they are shocked when the deal stalls or the client hesitates or the room just goes cold. The team doesn't buy in. And they say, oh, I'm just being myself. Exactly. That's the problem, because being yourself is not an actual strategy. It should be a foundation. Everybody needs to go through learning to be completely authentic. But the highest performers do not settle for that. They move past that into the beyond world of being able to actually care about the other person again. So let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately adjusted your tone? Maybe you lowered your volume. Maybe you straightened your posture. Maybe you changed your vocabulary. You didn't lose yourself. You just optimized yourself into what captures all of your awareness when nothing really is what you aren't paying attention to. Your ability to completely focus on adaptability. And the people who master this are the ones who become dangerous in the best way possible, because they can change the energy of the room before they even open their mouth. If we were drawing this out, here's what it looks like, all right? On one side, you've got authenticity, this self-expression, this comfort, right? Saying, quote unquote, this is who I am. Emotional expression or emotional release. And on the other side, you have adaptability. Remember, adaptability is calibration. Adaptability is leadership. Adaptability is persuasion. Adaptability is trust and its outcomes and results. Now, here's the plot twist. Integrity is not the same thing as authenticity. Integrity is values. Integrity is alignment. Integrity is truth. Authenticity is personality. Personality is not automatically persuasive. That distinction alone is a big thing that I've personally seen separate amateurs from real leaders. Now, remember when I said the most influential people have range? This means just being yourself creates lazy communicators, because now you never have to fully develop your range. You never have to learn how to adjust to different buyer types, to manage pressure, to speak to someone with higher status without shrinking, how to lead somebody who disagrees with you. And you just keep repeating your default mode. And when it doesn't work, you blame the market, you blame the company, you blame the economy, you blame your boss, you blame your spouse, you blame your past. But the real issue at hand is that you have no range. See, range is simply adaptability. And adaptability, range, is real power. Now, here's the important part. If you misunderstand what I'm saying, you will think I'm telling you to become fake. I'm not. I'm telling you to become skilled. Because the most powerful people in any room, the most influential icons throughout human history, have never been the loudest. They're not the most expressive. They're not even the most emotional. They are the most calibrated. They know how to stay fully aware while still speaking in a way that lands on this person, in this room, in this moment, with these stakes. And once you understand that, you stop treating communication like self-expression, and you start treating it like the life skill of influence. that it actually is. Now, if you have personally ever felt underestimated, if you've ever had that thought like, man, I know I'm capable, but people just don't seem to see it. Good. That means you're not delusional. That means that you are not crazy. That means that your instincts are actually completely correct. It's not that you lack value. It's that you haven't optimized your delivery. You don't need a new personality. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to become this new version of you 2.0. You need controlled flexibility, because the truth is that people do not respond to your intentions. They respond to your signals. And once you learn how to control the signal, you won't need to force respect. All that respect that already exists in the room will just naturally reposition and adjust towards you. So here's what I want you to do for now. Start noticing yourself. Not for what you're saying, but for what you are signaling. Start noticing the moments where you're trying to be quote unquote authentic, and notice how it's actually just you insisting on expressing yourself instead of communicating in a way that gets results, instead of communicating in the way that somebody else needs to hear. And once you start seeing that, you'll realize something critical. You have been leaking power in moments you didn't even know were important. And the second you can see the leak, you can fix it. Now, if everything that I've been explaining to you here hit, and you actually want to master this at a higher level, and I don't mean just understand it, but genuinely install it, then join my free school community called the Game of Influence. It's where I break this stuff down deeper, where you can actually post real life scenarios. You can get real feedback and start building real skill instead of just collecting more theory. The link is down below in the description. Join us, and I'll see you inside.